Welcome to the very first episode of the Clean Heart Club podcast. I'm so excited to be here with you and to introduce you to someone you may already know and love too, but some of you may not. So I'm excited to introduce you to my friend Stephanie Ackerman. And I'm just going to let Stephanie start off by telling us a little bit about herself, and we'll just see where this conversation goes.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me for your first guest. That is so exciting and fun. And
Thank you for saying
um,
yes.
of course, oh my gosh. Um, so yes, I am Stephanie Ackerman. I am turning 55 this year, which does not compute in my head. I don't feel 55. I am a mom of boys. I have big boys. Ben is 24 and Jack is 28. I am married to John, who was is my second husband, but the first love of my life. We worked together
Oh,
at McDonald's when we were 15, and I fell in
oh,
love with him. And we're like a John Hughes movie, like the teenage angst love story. We have that because I
oh
loved
my
him and
God.
he loved me. He loved all the girls. So after 30, 34, 38 years, we had gone our separate ways, had our own life. And then we met back up and we've been married for 17 years. Happily, it's it's been incredible. It's amazing and hard. We have lots of stories, lots of testimony in that. Um, but it's been amazing. And I'm going to become a grandma in June.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so a little bit about me is I love to make things. I have always loved to make things. I did not have a easy bake oven. I learned in a real oven. Um, we didn't have Barbie dream houses. I made Barbie dream houses. We made Barbie clothes. I was a brownie and a Girl Scout, so we made sit-upons and we learned how to stitch patches to stitch patches to sashes. Um, and make the like always making things. Always. I've always loved to make things. But I also didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I dabbled in this, that, and the other. Went to college, didn't love it, went to art towards the art way, didn't love it. I'm a two-time beauty school dropout. Didn't
Oh,
want to do it
really?
for
Is that why your hair
yeah.
always looks fabulous?
No, I wanted to learn it. I didn't want to do it now, honestly, because of the amount of money I paid to get my hair cut. I should have been a hairstylist. Um, and so I ended up working office jobs, which were fine, but I wasn't using my gifts, talents, and abilities because I believed the lie that I told myself for years and years that if I had to, I wouldn't want to. No one ever told me that. I just
Hmm.
always said, if I had to do this for a living, I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't do it. It wouldn't be fun. And so I didn't do it. And fast forward to facing a divorce and having little kids. My kids were 5 and 8. I did not want to work in a cubicle and take them to daycare. That was just that was my choice. I didn't want, like Jack said, I want to go in the home line. I don't want to go to aftercare. And
Hmm.
so that is when I made the decision to do everything I needed to do to use my gifts, talents, and abilities so that my kids could be home. And that looked like making wedding cakes, all occasion cakes. I on the weekends that they were with their dad, I worked with a local caterer serving at parties and restaurants and special private events. And I made birdhouses and
Oh,
Christmas
you were in the
ornaments.
birdhouse.
Yes, in that like birdhouses, dried floral arrangement, like from 80 on, 1980 on, I made whatever the craft was, I made it. I sold them at consignment stores, and honestly did everything that I needed to do to keep my kids out of daycare, which amazing and great, but I hit a wall. I mean, no one can do that much that long. I
That's
had
a
all
lot of making. That's a
that
lot
is
of
a lot of
making.
yeah, especially when you have chaos going on in your life with divorce and little kids
Right.
on a normal, a normal day. And I think as I sit here and think about it, I had the strength of God because I wouldn't have made it without it. But I did do a lot of it in my own power because I felt like that's what I needed to do. Looking back at it now, there's no way I could have done that without Jesus. And we grew up going to church. My family, we grew up going to the United Methodist Church, but we went through the motions. We went to church on Sunday. We went to youth group Sunday night. We went to youth group Tuesday, choir on Thursday, and then started again every week. And we did that for probably all my life. Um, but it was again just going through the motions of it and not having a relationship. That's what I learned later. There's a difference between having a religion or a relationship.
Mhm.
And um, so I've just always made things, and it's been like a stepping stone path through my whole life. One thing would come and then go, and then I'd do another and another. And it's like where I sit now, I am living my best life. I am doing what I love to do. It has flourished in the past, I'm going to say 16, 18 months with being part of doing a coaching program. And I'm at a place now where growing up, all from the age of 10, because of a traumatic experience, from 10 until, I don't, not too long ago, I always dealt with fear, anxiety, depression, went through so many different cycles of trying to get help and talk therapy and medications, and made some very big shifts in my life to not have to do all the medicines. I still take medication, and I mean, I know there's a lot of shame involved with that, but I'm not ashamed. I have a brain, or like a brain thing, so I need to take medication for that. But I have recently taken the word anxious and anxiety out of my like title. I have
Oh,
learned,
wow.
and that's new. I'm going to say that's in the past couple months.
So you
Of my
know, no longer use those words to describe yourself.
mm-mm. And like if I'm talking to someone about it, I'll talk about it, but I have tools now that help me. I don't want to say welcome anxiety, but I can address it when it comes, and I know what to do with it. And I don't let it take me over. It tries. Sometimes it tries, but I know what to do with it. Um, and so having a lifetime of that has helped me to where I am now. Like everything that I've gone through, like everything in our past that we've gone through, we've made it through 100% of all bad days. And so that brings me to where I'm at now, where I'm still here. I woke up this morning. God's got a job for me to do. And so I am here for it. I had mentioned surrender is something that I arm wrestled with I held on to my boys. I told God, you take care of this, and I'm going to hold on to these boys because I'm afraid that you're going to use them to test me. So
Mm.
you take care of the rest of my life, and I'm going to do this. Well, guess what happened? In the same year, um, in 2020, I had two different incidents, one with each boy, where it was bad. It was life changing. It could have been life ending. And in those two moments, I was completely calm. I can't explain it,
Mm.
but I was completely calm. I knew God was in it. Something had, because really, I can hold on to my boys and I can surrender everything else. Just because I'm holding on to them doesn't mean anything's not going to happen to them. But we
Mm.
think that, well, if I'm going to hold on to this because nothing will happen. No, no, I don't have any control over that. For some reason, I thought I did. But through all of the lessons and all of the situations that I've gone through in my life, part of my purpose that I am absolutely sure of is a phrase or a quote that I use all the time is that I'm just here to remind you of the things that you already know, you just forgot to remember. Because
I love that.
we all know so much. We we know God's in it. We know we don't have control. We know there's a better, bigger plan for us. But in the midst of chaos or trauma or illness or whatever it is, we tend to forget what we know. And we all need those people around us to encourage us and remind us and lift us up in those moments. And one of the pinpoints to that was when first going through the divorce, when the boys would leave on a Friday, I would roll up in a ball and stay on the couch until Sunday when they came home. I shrunk down. I can say it now without crying. And I think this is the first time where, because I know now, but in that moment, I felt so alone that honestly, I don't even know if I ate. I probably drank some water, but I would do that every time. And it was a friend of mine that said, "You're never alone."
Mm.
And it was like, oh, yeah, I know that, but I forgot to remember it. And that's what shifted or pivoted me out of that. I'm not alone.
Mm.
I felt alone, but as we know with feelings, right? What that
Mm.
leads to, if I had the
Right.
thought that my kids are with their dad and they're leaving and I feel sad and hopeless, then I'm going to curl up in a ball and I'm going to stay there until they come back when that
Mm.
didn't happen. So, um, I probably went off a little subject there, but you know what? All of our stories, all of the things that we do are all intertwined. Like, it's my story, and there's so many, it's like a tapestry of so many things, like you and I. Who
Yeah, I
knew?
was going to say, would you tell everybody? Well, first of all, Stephanie has, um, tell us about your group.
Okay.
And I should have had you bring some of your artwork to show, but
Okay.
maybe you can send me some pictures of stuff and I can include it on the whatever it is you do when you have a podcast.
Whatever. It's hard to, I don't have an elevator pitch that's 2 minutes. That's for sure.
That's fine. That's
Um,
fine.
so I teach. It started out with scrapbooking a long time ago. And over time, with different scrapbooking companies and with different magazines, over time, my creativity has turned it full blown into my business. And I've been through all the tsunamis of um, what happens when everyone's doing scrapbooking, and then here comes the big giant online creature and kind of knocks people out of their spaces when it comes to, like, everything's online. So I once upon a time had a magazine contract with CK Media, and it was called Homegrown Hospitality. And I thought, oh, it's everything that
I did not know that.
yes, yes. And so I signed the contract in 2006, and it was a five special, it's like the Better Homes and Gardens special edition magazines. And so I had a 5-issue contract, and that's right when everything was coming online. So while I got to do all 5 issues, which was an amazing, like it was so fun. It was
So
like
did you design the whole magazine?
Mhm. Yeah. And I had a team, so they did all the publishing and all that, but everything I did was me. My wedding was in it. John and I's wedding was in it. So it was so great,
Oh
but
my gosh.
it got put in the round file in 2008 and 9 because of online. And I didn't look at it as a failure, which is surprising to me because I was always a little skeptical and a little cynical and like, I don't know. I just knew that was a great experience. So anyway, going from that, I teach, I travel. I'm lucky I've been to South Africa several times. I've been to, because they were big in scrapbooking, which is surprising. Like 10 years
Really?
behind us, but yes. And then um started teaching more mixed media and fabric. And so that led us up to Italy. And I don't remember, was it like 7 years ago? 8 years
Oh
ago?
gosh, I can't remember the exact date.
But I was
But
lucky to be invited to go teach in Italy at this amazing retreat, Lake Como. Like, I felt like I was living lifestyles of the rich and famous, and it was amazing. And my Auntie Susan was there. And who was with you? I was trying to remember the
Debbie, my
Debbie.
friend Debbie.
Okay.
Do you remember we saw you in the lobby of the hotel in Milan? And you and Jean were sitting together eating breakfast, and Debbie and I were a few tables over, and we were like, of course, you were like celebrities to us, and we felt like we shouldn't invade your space
You
and
know me
introduce
now.
ourselves.
Well, you became our aunties on that trip, and we loved you so much. And fast forward to, I think it was last August, I had seen a video of um you were in a video for the event in Tennessee, um,
Oh,
Love is
okay. Love
Magic.
is magic.
And I saw you and I was like, oh, there's Susan. Like, oh my gosh. And then here we are.
Here
It's
we are.
only God, right? Could,
Only God. So
yeah.
you guys don't know that Stephanie actually lives in Southern California. So the fact that
We
we
met in
were
Italy.
met in Italy and then reconnected because of a lady in Tennessee, Dr. Edie, who we both love. And I saw your name um, pop up in the chat
Hmm.
in one of the calls that we were on. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's Stephanie. And even though I fell in love with you in Bellagio, I still kind of put you up here in the land far, far away from me. Never, never imagining that we would actually become friends
You were my
and
aunt.
that I get to go teach at
Hmm.
this year. I'm going to go teach at one of her workshops. So how did it happen that you started being invited to be a guest teacher at these events?
Well, um, that's a hard question because back before online, everything that anyone knew about anyone was in magazines. So when online came and Facebook came, it really was word of mouth, or if someone knew some, like, how do we know how we get to where we've gotten? but it had
Only
to
God.
have been, yeah, I mean, really. And as messy as social media can be, it sure has been an amazing tool, because I will tell you, my best friends live across the country, or this way in the United States, or that way. There's no way we would have ever known each other had we not connected. So I think it just, God, God made it happen, but people meet people meet people. And like that first time went and taught with Jean. Jean wasn't even sure she was going to like me because she didn't know me. And the night before the flight, she had Kelly, her husband, get her a different seat because she didn't want to be stuck sitting next to me the whole entire way to Italy. And now we're the best of friends. I mean, so
My gosh. So Jean she's talking about is Jean
Jean
Oliver, who
Oliver,
is
yes.
also an artist
Mhm.
and a teacher and a fabulous person too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how
But
cool.
one thing has always led to another, 100%. All the way back to sit-upons and Barbie dream houses and sewing patches on sashes. Now I can sit back and I can see how it all led to right here, right now. I'm sitting in St. Petersburg, Florida, because I'm teaching some workshops here from a woman that I met probably 10 years ago via some other artists in the industry that said, oh, hey, you meet you, you meet you. And it just has evolved, and I have not taken it for granted. I know that there are many, many people out here that do the same thing, but I'm a different person than I was even last year when it comes to this type of thing, because I always disqualified myself or discounted myself. And I'm going to share this with you because this is like that profound Holy Spirit thing, because I always had issues with self-confidence, with body image, everything. And I'd always disqualify myself from so many different things. And here's what the Holy Spirit told me. You need to quit discounting yourself because Jesus paid full price.
Mm.
And that's what I needed to hear, because I know we all have gifts and talents, and I know a lot of us do the same things. And it's not about comparison. It's not about competing with each other. It's about collaboration and coming up with one another and cheering each other on to move forward. And I'm sure it's like that in all industries, whether it's, I don't know. I always just said, like, here's the phone here's the phone I designed, but you don't need this one because they have better ones. I just always did that. And manufacturers always did this. Please don't say those type of things. But really, I just felt like it because it came easy to me to make things.
Mm.
I didn't put a price on them. I didn't put a value. I didn't value myself. And man, a lifetime of discounting myself is gone. I almost don't remember. Like I did that on social media yesterday at the airport. I almost don't remember the girl that used to cry every time on the way to the airport.
Wow. Because you were afraid to fly.
I wasn't afraid to fly. I was not afraid to fly. I could fly across country around the world. I just My biggest fear was always death.
Mm.
Not death of me, death of someone else. And that's what happened when I was young, is we went away. My sister and I, my mom was pregnant and she had a miscarriage, but didn't tell us. And so we went away to my aunt's house for the weekend. And when we came back, the baby was gone. And
Mm.
from age 9, 10, all the way up to probably 16, I didn't go anywhere. I missed out on all slumber parties.
Oh,
I
wow.
just was so fearful that if anyone left, someone would die.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
um, it's a big bummer, but at the same time, I wouldn't be where I am now if,
Look how God has redeemed that.
yeah, yeah, 100%,
Might have
110%.
been slumber parties, but you've gone to lots of places with
Right.
lots of
And
women.
yes, and I would try the slumber parties. I would try, but as soon as it would get dark and it would get quiet, then I'd make the call, or the mom would make the call, and I'd get picked up.
Uh-huh.
And so
Oh,
um it was a hard, yucky time for a long time. But again, look where I'm at now.
yes. Okay, so I'm guessing that there are women who are going to watch this who are looking at you and thinking, well, yeah, but that's you. Or so what would you tell them about being willing to take the risk to become more of their true self?
First of all, I need to be in complete alignment with God, because anytime I'm in alignment with my own head, that's when all the sideways thoughts come. That's when everything is kind of disconnected. And so I need to check myself, check my
So
heart
how do you stay in alignment?
by getting in the word every day, by getting in the word sometimes every hour, um, by honestly remembering what I know. He's with me, he's for me, he's got a good plan, he's promised it, he's here, he's in it. And so I just have to constantly practice and remember that, because again, you get out of alignment, just like your body. If your body is out of alignment, you can't sit, you can't stand, you can't breathe, you can't do anything. It breaks down all over the place. Same goes for God. Is if I'm in alignment with him, then I'm able to work and rest in his rhythm. And whatever he has planned, like I can have plans. Yes, I can have plans, but I'm flexible to my plans versus his plans, because most likely they don't really, I mean, they might coordinate a little bit, but I am willing to just be available and to be interrupted by him with the opportunities that I've been given. Um, but it's constant. I'll never, like, I think sometimes we think, oh, we know it. Like my favorite verse, or my life verse, is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ. But I have to remember that. I have to apply it. I have
Mm.
to be an active participant to that. I can't just know it and be like, okay. I have to put it into process, put it into action. Um, and I have to be an example and a light. I can't do that if I am out of alignment. So I think that kind of answers that question. You know what? My mom says, don't ever say that. But I say, we all poop. We're all the same. We all poop. We all bleed. Um, sure, we're not Taylor Swift, but we all were created by the creator in his image. And we are all creative that way, in some way. Maybe some fabric, maybe some music, maybe some book writing. Um, across the board, we all have the gifts of being creative. It just looks different for every single one of us. And so that's where I think when the Holy Spirit was like, you got to stop discounting yourself. You've got to stop. Don't disqualify. You're just as capable as anyone else to do the thing that you were created to do. And we have to
That's
believe
so
that. We have to believe it before we can go forward and make any changes, because we're the walking examples.
I've told this example several times since I saw it last week on television, but you know, I do these thought calendars, and
Mhm.
they're surprises for me when they pop up because I do them, you know, weeks in advance. So the thought came up that it's my privilege to become me. And when I read that, and if you've heard this, excuse me, but some of these people
Okay.
might not have. So when I read that, I was like, oh, I felt so icky. It felt like I did not believe it, that it was a privilege to be me. So I had to do some journaling and some creation cycles and some work around it and realize, yes, it is a privilege to be me. And then I was watching Young Sheldon, which is my current show that I'm watching. And Sheldon decided, for those of you who don't know, he's like a 10-year-old genius. He decided he wanted to be a Nobel Prize winner. And the best way for that to happen, the most likely way, was if he became Jewish, because most of the Nobel Prize winners are Jewish. So he contacted a rabbi to see about converting. And the rabbi said a lot of wise things. And then he said, Sheldon, when you die, God is never going to say, Sheldon, why didn't you become Albert Einstein? But he might say, Sheldon, why didn't you become Sheldon?
Right. Right.
So that made me realize refusing to become who God created you to be is a slap in his face.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't
And
think until we're given like that on a TV show, right? Sorry if you hear,
that's God.
right.
That's
He is
that's how
speaking
God
through that
works.
TV show that he knew
Yes.
you needed to hear that at that time. I mean, again, he speaks to us in so many different ways that, I mean, you could have easily walked out of the room during that portion of the show.
Right.
But we have to pay attention to the interruptions because they become opportunities. Um, like I often would pray for my big kids, like, interrupt them, please. Interrupt their
Mm,
thoughts. They get to choose, but please can you interrupt them? And then I thought, you
mm.
could interrupt me too. Because, and I don't look at it as something that is irritating. You know, when people get interrupted, they're kind of irritated, but it might be an opportunity for us to grow, for
So
us,
good.
yeah, for us to say something to someone that would have thought was a normal phrase or a thought, but we never know who we're talking to and who needs to hear what. And
We
that,
don't.
yeah, that is part of my favorite part of my job. And I'm an introvert, which people would say, no, you're not. When I'm doing my job and I'm working, I'm an extrovert and I'm doing my job and it comes easy to me. And so I share my faith in all of my work. It has always been a part of my work. And that's why I do a lot of hearts, because it's He, capital He for God, and then art. Like he's the reason I'm
Mm.
doing what I'm doing.
Oh
And
my
um,
gosh, I love that.
yeah, and
That's
that keeps
beautiful.
me aligned. That keeps me aligned. And I get to do these things. I get to travel. I get to teach and lead and remind and inspire and share because that's what God made me to do. It doesn't matter whether you take anything from it or not, but you might. I'm
You're
just showing
right.
up. I'm here for it.
Right. Oh my gosh, isn't this such a great kind of revelation that we can live our lives with joy
Mhm.
when we decide to be who he created us to be?
Yep.
Not her,
Mhm. And
not
there's a lot of
them.
comparison. There's a lot of comparison in this with, oh, I'm not an artist like you, or oh, I don't do this. Nope, you don't, but you do it like you. And I do a lot of talks about journaling, and a lot of people don't like the writing. So that's why they don't do it. And I'm like, it's not about the writing. It's about what's inside coming out onto paper. And once you can get past that, it's not about the writing.
Oh my
And
gosh. And we both know that something I think think of it as magical, but probably it's not that's probably the wrong word. Something happens between here, your pen and your paper.
100%. In fact, there's some science behind that. There's some sort of
Oh,
something.
really?
Yes, for reals. And that's why I think it's important to do that, because you don't get that when you're typing on a pad. Not to say that that's wrong. I've just never been a digital journaler. I have a pen in my hand, and even if I don't know what to write, or when I'm teaching a journaling class and I'm trying to get people to just do it a little bit each day, this is what I tell them. Get your pen, get your paper, and you write. I'm going to write because Stephanie told me to write, but I don't know what to write. So I'm just going to keep writing until I know what to write because Stephanie said to do it. And once you start that repetition of writing, you'll be very surprised at what comes up.
Comes out.
But so many
And it
people,
doesn't
again,
take long.
no,
It doesn't take
no,
long. 3
3 minutes.
minutes.
That's it.
Mhm.
3
3
minutes
minutes.
is all you
Okay.
need.
This has been so fun, and I know you got to go teach a class to some very lucky women, but I want to ask you a few questions here as
Okay.
we're ending. And so, what are you reading? Are you a reader?
I have many books. I have many books. I read them all a little bit at a time. So right now I'm reading Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Pels.
I follow
I
her on
just,
Instagram.
yes, it's an amazing book, and I've just started to try out some um, intermittent fasting because menopause has not been kind to me. So I'm
It
trying
likes
that.
our middles.
Man, I don't even, we have a boat, and I said to my husband, I don't need to wear a life jacket this year because I have a flotation device around my waist. Thank you very much.
Oh my gosh.
So I have lots of books. But I don't, if honestly, if I sit down to read, I fall asleep.
Which is
Like,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
And so freedom and all this stuff. Okay, what are you watching? Do you watch, do you
Well,
have somebody on YouTube or?
I don't watch, I mean, 100% of my whole entire being loves football. And this coming Sunday is the last football game of the year. And so when it's not football season, I just love football. I love the sound. I love the games on. It's white noise, but it's creative white noise for me. I don't sit and stare at every play of the game, but I love watching football. And so if you all could pray for me for Monday, because after Monday, there's nothing to do.
Who are you for? Which team are you
I'm
rooting
for
for?
all teams. I am
Oh,
like the team
nice.
mom of like, if I'm at your house, I'm going to root for your team. And if I'm at like wherever I'm at, I will root. I also cheer for the person who's running towards the goal, like, go. And
Yeah.
then I get
Oh.
fully so sad for the loser.
Mhm.
And I'm the one that would wear the sweatshirt that says, I just want everyone to have fun.
I love it. And you're stitching the whole time you're doing
Yep.
this, I'm
Yep.
assuming.
Yep.
Um, what is, are you eating anything right now that's you're loving?
You know what? I eat super clean. So I love vegetables. I love things that people wouldn't really love. Like I love hummus and I love vegetables. But because I have such a troublesome inside, I don't eat citrus, but I can eat cuties, like the mandarin oranges, no problem. So I love
Oh,
cuties, love them so
mm,
much. And I don't have
yum.
a
And
problem with them.
what is something that you have not told us about yourself yet that we need to know?
Um, I swallowed my front tooth. It was 2 years ago around Halloween. I woke up one morning and my tooth was gone. I swallowed it, it broke off. And so now I have some nice teeth.
Your teeth look fabulous, by the way.
Yeah, well, they better because it was a high price tag. But I mean,
Oh
I
gosh.
woke up and it was gone.
I was also going to mention that you're a life coach. You have a community.
I
Tell us
do.
about your community.
I have a community called the Creative Soul Community. That is a membership program I've had for a few years now, but I'm starting to incorporate the coaching into it. I have a few people that I coach one-on-one. I love it so much. I feel like this was the missing puzzle piece to the rest of my life. Like I always felt like it's stepping stone, stepping stone. But I love it so much. And I love when I'm at retreats, they get really deep. And this sounds terrible. Everyone's got a backpack they're carrying full of stuff. And when I hear people share all of their things, I'm like, oh, there's so much potential. Guess what? You don't have to
Mhm.
carry it. I get really excited about the freedom possibility for everyone, only because I have experienced it completely. I am a different person than I was this time last year. And it's so amazing to say that. And I can say it without feeling like conceited or show off. Like it's provision from God.
That's true humility, right? When you're
Yeah.
not thinking too highly of yourself and you're not thinking too lowly of yourself.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah. And
just,
that was never me. Never, never. I would think, oh no, that's very greedy. I lived in a survival scarcity mode 90% of my life. And not
we need to
until
talk again.
yeah. I
We
mean,
need to talk
that's
again.
why I asked you, how much time do we have? Because really, and I wasn't taught, I mean, I had some basic counseling and nothing. Yeah, we'll need to talk again, but
Yeah,
it's 100% possible to break through. And I believe that with all my heart. Like I would talk to anyone about anything because I know it's possible. But you got to be willing, right?
right. You have to be
Surrender.
willing.
Got to surrender and not say, well, I'm going to hold on to this 2%. I read a book once. I don't know if it was Lisa Whittle, but we all hold on to 2% of our story and we don't share it.
Oh, and probably sharing the 2% is where the freedom is.
Yep. That's where it's at. And until
Mm.
you can release that 2%, which I have done with my group because I have to go first. And I'm not proud of my whole story or my 2%. And, it's that one of that, like, well, what will people think if they know? So don't share it.
Mhm,
There's so much to be unlocked from that because it turns
mhm.
out the people that
As
are
it
in your
turns
life,
out.
yeah. And you know what? You can't be here for it all if you're holding on to that 2%. So maybe we'll
Oh,
talk about
that's
that.
so good. That is so good. Okay, Stephanie, would you close us with prayer? Um, or
Yeah.
speak, yeah, just close
Yeah.
us with prayer.
All right. Lord, you knew so long ago, you wrote this into Susan and I's story that we would be sitting here face to face in front of a screen. Lord, you have such good plans for us. And my prayer is that we can continually keep our eyes up, to keep our chins up, to keep our eye or our heart and our ears and our mind open to what you have for us, for the interruptions you have for us. Help us to hear you and not only hear, but understand so that we can grow our roots stronger and deeper for ourselves and to be able to reach out to others around us. I'm so thankful and grateful for you and for all of the things that you have done in my life, even if I hadn't recognized them, but things that you're doing right now and the things you have planned for me, for Susan, for whoever's listening to this or watching this. Lord, I just pray that our eyes would be open and that we would be wholeheartedly ready to surrender to you and to what you have for us because it's so good. Thank you for Jesus, Lord. Thank you for what he did for us, that he paid the full price. Help help me and help whoever is hearing this to remember not to discount or disqualify ourselves because Jesus paid full price and we were worth it. I love you and I thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I pray that you just have a fabulous retreat
I will.
and that God pours his blessings out on you as you pour your blessings out on others.
Thank you. And thank you for believing in me and trusting in me and loving me and asking me to be the first one.
No, I'm so honored that you said yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Bye.
right. See you later.